Yesterday, I did stealing missions, and I made it so that the thing you've got to steal is an inventory item, and when you bring it back to the base, you can bring it to the drop point, and you can deliver it if you like, but you don't have to. Walking into the drop point doesn't automatically deliver it. And that's because I'm interested in the possibility that maybe the thing you've assigned to steal is actually worth keeping. It's worth failing the mission and not getting paid just to keep this item. And my original plan for that was you'd find the item and it would be random, and most of the time it would be not worth the cost of the mission. And then some of the time it would be something so rare and so valuable, something that is, has traits that have not been unlocked for you yet. You can't buy things that have these traits, like rechargeable teleporters or like special kinds of grenades and things. And so that would be the time when you think, oh, maybe this is worth stealing from the people who've hired me to steal it. And my problem with that was that I was thinking my next stage was like, okay, but what about the times when it's not worth stealing, which has got to be most of the time. If it's worth stealing most of the time, it would be weird because you would be taking these missions just to steal the stuff, and I'm not going to have some kind of like repercussions for that. It's not going to be like you get arrested or something. I don't know. Like it just doesn't fit with the universe that we're setting this in. So I don't want it to be like a reliable way to get good stuff. I want it to be an occasional thing. And so the rest of the time, the item's got to kind of suck, or at least relative to the money you'd get from turning it in. And then that raises the question, why? Like, particularly since right now I'm just spawning things with a very limited set of traits. Like A, the game doesn't have a huge number of different items yet, and B, in the sort of starting state of the game, you haven't unlocked most of those things. I can have these items ignore those unlocks, but if they always ignore those unlocks, then they'll become almost always great. So I was thinking, why would an agency hire you to steal something that is just a kind of like normal gun or just a kind of one concussion grenade or something? Why would they pay for that? And it has to be that they are in some way experimental. Like, it might not do anything great yet, but it's like a prototype for some other device. And so in its current state, yes, it doesn't do anything particularly magnificent, but it's just a weird contraption with a bunch of gizmos and stuff on it. And to a scientist, this would be a useful piece of technology. This would be something that they can do something with, that they can develop new technology from. Like, it's halfway there, maybe. So, I like that idea. And the next thing I did was make the name generator for these things. Until this point, the name of the mission had always been verb and then the name of the person you're going to do it to. And so for kill and capture, that makes a lot of sense. For steal, it doesn't. It was like, steal Sea Horizon and just someone's name. And so I needed names of devices, and I didn't want it to just be like, if you're stealing a silence pistol, I don't want it to be steal silence pistol, because then it really reveals the fact that it's just a mundane item. So instead, like, no matter what it is, even if it is mundane, I want to call it something like the Herschel device, or the Dark Star object, or just like a really fancy name for a inexplicable science MacGuffin, because in like, I don't know, in movies the mysterious MacGuffin with a silly name is kind of a tired cliche, but I think when it actually is generated by a formula and you can have hundreds of these, it's always going to be formulaic, so let's just embrace that and make it funny. In fact, you can see the list of these things. And in fact, yeah, look, this is just what I was saying. Feels dumb to steal a low-level item, but what if they're mysterious? Stiver's error, the Herschel prototype, the Klingard device. So it does this now. I've made it so that it will pick a surname and a noun and piece them together in this way. It can even do like different marks. So there's a Mark 1 and a Mark 2 and a Mark 5. So then the next thing I thought, well, okay, if we can call them that, they should also look a bit different, look a bit sciencey. And what if you just don't know what they are? Like, maybe it is just a silence pistol, or maybe it is just a concussion grenade, but you don't know. You just pick up a device and just don't know what it is. It's just a thing. I've been hired to find it. We know it's valuable, but we don't know what it does. And so if you want to be a good boy, you just bring it back to your masters and you get paid for it. But if you're curious, you can just try like throwing it somewhere and see what happens when it hits something. Or I think I'd make it so that they would... I think mysterious will just be like a flag on an item. And if it has the mysterious flag, it won't tell you what type... I mean, it'll be called codename Harmon or something. And it won't tell you what type it is, it won't tell you any of its traits. It'll just be that item, and you won't be able to sort of know anything about it. And in every other respect, it will just be that item. So I think that would mean that if it is a gun and you press use while it's equipped, you will fire the gun. You won't throw it. Like your character kind of can at least tell. I won't directly tell the player, but your character knows when the thing is in their hand. Should I press the trigger or should I throw it at something? Like that's the extent of their knowledge of this device. And so you still might not know. Like if it's let's say it's there are frazzers and jackers. Those things can like neutralize electronics. If you use one of those and there's no electronics around, nothing would happen. So you might have a mysterious device, you don't know what the hell it is, you press the fire on it and nothing happens at all. Or it might fire a shot somewhere. Or it might blow up the room you're in. Or I think, no, it would never just explode for you clicking it. If it was a grenade type, you would throw it. You wouldn't know it was a grenade until you threw it, but you would throw it, and you'd throw it reasonably far. At worst, it would fall at your feet and you'd see the timer ticking down, so you'd have to sprint out of the way. And once we get more exotic traits in, one of my ideas is for like very, very rare items, like the uniques, the sort of legendary type things, to have really nutty effects, like a gun where the bullets bounce like 19 times, or a wrench where when you hit someone it teleports them 6 kilometers away, things like that. And so this would be great for these devices. Like it could just be like one of those traits, and those traits, although they're powerful, if you don't know what they are before you use them, then they're kind of less overpowered, at least less like they don't spoil the challenge of the game because you don't know what the fuck they do. So I envision like several different reasons you might use something that you're sent here to steal. One is curiosity. Obviously, I think people, no matter how much you might want them to invest in the missions, they won't entirely. And if there's some kind of game mechanic to be discovered, and certainly players like me will for sure try out some of these things. The second is if you're just stuck. If like I've already have so many situations in Heat Signature where I'm like, I just need a grenade to get past this, and I don't have any grenades. But if I had the device I've stolen, then I might think, well, maybe it's a grenade. Let's find out if it's a grenade. And then, of course, if it's a grenade, like if it goes off and it's a single-use thing, then you would have destroyed the thing you were there to steal. But there's a chance, one of the traits I'm going to do is like reusable grenades. Grenades that blow up and they're still there, and you just walk over and pick them up again, and they've got a certain number of charges, maybe. But if the thing you're here to steal has a number of charges, you won't get less money for it for the fact that it's somewhat depleted. It'd be trivial for your employers to recharge it or whatever. That's not too important. As long as you haven't destroyed it, as long as you get them the technology, they're interested in the technology. So I really like this idea. It also, roguelike fans will have noticed this ties into something roguelikes already have, which is mysterious potions. And that doesn't really fit in my universe. But often in roguelikes you find, instead of finding like a health potion or a mana potion, you will find just a red potion. And what a red potion does is consistent within this playthrough, but each time you start a new game, it's randomized what a red potion is. And so they can be terrible things or they can be very beneficial things. And so a common thing is like, throw the potion at a goblin, see what it does to him. And maybe it sets him on light, and then you're like, okay, great, I'm going to use those as projectiles. Or maybe it heals him, and you're like, okay, next one of those I find, I'm going to drink it. This won't be quite like that, but the thing I really like about that in roguelikes is just I don't know what this does, so I'm going to throw it at someone other than me. So I like that idea. I've done most of it. They have these names. My very next thing to do is where is it? Steal mission name should be item names. No, I've done that. In fact, let's not delete it. Let's put it in the done list. And so I guess the to-do list item here is add a mysterious flag. Hide all traits. And then this one is the actual item needs to be named after the thing we said it was going to be named, which will be easy enough to do, I think. And that will, also, that should be right for logic reasons and for flavor text reasons, but also that will happen to conceal what it is, because that's currently the only way you know what something is what its name is, and its list of traits. So we'll change its name and we'll hide its list of traits. I think I probably just won't. I'll just have one trait, I think. Shows one trait. Something like unknown technology. Maybe I'll come up with a little pithy sentence about, you don't know what this does. yeah, then that'll be theft missions done. And that's really cool because they ended up being way more interesting than I thought they would be. We already have capture and assassinate missions, so our list of missions now, let's see if we can find it. Hopefully I've got set up mission somewhere here. Set up mission. Steal, rescue, assassinate, capture. The only other one I have planned is secure and deliver, which is securing a ship is a concept that isn't in the game yet, but which I've planned for a long time, which is if you take out all the guards, now the ship is secure, and a secure ship can be delivered to a friendly station, and that will sometimes be a mission objective. That's what you've got to do. You have to take out everyone out. But also, even if you weren't hired to do this, just securing a ship and delivering it to your station will have a long-term benefit, which is it gets you closer to being able to liberate another station, because these ships that you've kind of captured, they are your fleet. Not you personally necessarily, but the station you live at. You live at a liberated space station, which has gone independent, so no military controls it, doesn't really have a fleet of its own, so it relies upon people who live there, if they happen to be out there in the galaxy raiding ships anyway, if you possibly can, please secure the ship and bring it back so that we have some fleet to kind of play around with. And your only goal, it's not even a strong goal, but a liberated station is not going to be sort of trying to dominate the galaxy. But if there's another station out there that is under military control that wants to go independent, then you can send some ships to kind of distract that fleet, and then there'll be a special mission to go and liberate that station and join your network. The reason you care about that personally as a player, for mechanical reasons, is that that's how you unlock technologies. So ultimately, securing ships is kind of your route to unlocking new tech. Gotta say, it's occurred to me as I'm coming up with these theft mission structure thing, this sure sounds like inventing new tech, doesn't it? It sure seems like stealing these things should get you closer to new technology. I need to think about that. I don't totally know. But even if I don't use secure and deliver as the method of unlocking new technology, I do want it as an objective. It's always been a thing of like, hijacking a ship should be an objective, and it has been for a while. But the way it used to work was very fiddly and elaborate and doesn't fit with the new mission system, so it has to be redone. Story of Heat Signature's life. And I can do that. I also just want that, like a little pop-up message saying ship secured when you take everyone out. I want that to be a thing. I don't really know why. It's not like I want to... I don't want to make you do that on every ship. I don't want players to end up doing that on every ship necessarily, unless they've really decided that's their thing. Like, that was very much Mira's MO, which she would just take out everybody on every ship. I don't want that to be a universal thing. I don't want everyone to feel they have to do that. So I think that'll be fulfilled anyway by like missions that ask you to not hurt anyone, or missions that ask you to not kill anyone. That makes it a lot harder to secure the ship. And missions with a time limit, maybe. No. Those are just as easy to secure, really, because if you can do the mission at all, you can probably get to the cockpit. And if you get to the cockpit, you can disable the time limit because you just set a new course. But yeah, arguably, if I didn't use ships as the way you unlock new technologies, then this whole idea of needing to secure the ship before you hijack it and send it to your station is maybe redundant. It wouldn't be a stretch to say that you have enough people at your station that if you deliver a ship that does have live and active crew on it, that your people would be able to kind of arrest their people, and so it wouldn't matter that their people are still conscious. I'm a little bit torn because that makes sense, and there's something kind of fits the guerrilla fantasy that you kind of, if you can sneak to the cockpit and get there, doesn't matter what else you've done. You've done your objective now, and you can set course to the station. And it's kind of funny as well to have the rest of the crew just going about their jobs, not knowing that they're on course to be captured. And it's a nice reversal of fortunes as well, because when you get aboard a ship that docks in an enemy station, that's one of the most common ways to lose your life. Like, you haven't lost your life forever, but you've been captured now, and someone else will have to come and save you. But on the other hand, this makes it more similar to all the other objectives. All the other objectives are just get to a room and then you've got the thing and then get out again. This is get to a room and you don't even have to get out. You just set course to a station. if you had to secure the ship, that is now a completely different kind of mission, and that would feel very different. It's like a systematic elimination of everyone aboard, and you can still do it non-lethally, so it's not too much of an imposition on your playstyle requirements, and you can always just avoid this type of mission if you want to. So yeah, I'm torn on that. I can see strong advantages of both approaches. I suppose you could have both. If I did this secure concept, if I implemented that, I wouldn't be forced to use it for hijack missions. They could always be two types. There could always be one where you just got to hijack it, and another one where you got to secure it and hijack it. That feels a bit odd, but maybe there's something in that. So there's already two reasons to hijack. One is if you're given a mission to do it, and the other is to unlock new technology, to build up a fleet so that you can then unlock new technologies. I think I like building up a fleet to liberate new stations. That seems logical. I don't think there's any version of this where stealing these mysterious technologies unlocks new stations. And also, if I did make that the way you unlock new stations, or the way you unlock technologies, you would just do steal missions forever, right? You wouldn't bother with the other ones. Who cares? Unlocking new technologies is the coolest thing. You just do that. Whereas if unlocking new technologies is down to liberating new stations, and liberating new stations is down to capturing ships, you can capture any ship you're aboard. If you're sent there to kill someone, you can still capture the ship and send it back to your station. So it's a nice kind of like bonus extra objective. Yeah, I've talked myself into this now. I'm re-convinced that the way to unlock technologies is to liberate stations, and the way to liberate stations is to build up a fleet by securing ships. It doesn't matter what ships you secure. They can be a mission, they can not be a mission. It could have been your mission to secure it. It could have been your mission to do something else. And you know what? This almost doesn't need to be a mission type, because if it is a mission type, surely your clients would want to take the ship, in which case your station does not get the ship. So it's more like a bonus thing to do on any mission rather than a dedicated mission type. Because your clients, I feel like they wouldn't hire you to deliver the station to the independent station, because your clients are the factions, and the independent station is where the factions aren't. And yes, you could, I could work around that, but maybe this just isn't the mission type. So the only other decision to make is I definitely want you to be able to deliver ships to gain that ship as part of your fleet, and use that to unlock new stations. Do you have to secure it before you deliver it? I think yes, because not for realism reasons, but because if you don't, as I say, just getting to the cockpit is very similar to getting to the objective room, and currently the objective room is also usually pretty close to the cockpit. It tends to be the airlocks at the back, and the objective will be somewhere near the front, and the cockpit is almost always near the front. And so it would just be too small a detour. It would just be too easy an extra thing to I'll just stop by the cockpit and also steal this entire ship. I think I'm going to ask you to take out every guard, because then that is it does sound kind of a lot of work, doesn't it? It's an extra thing to do. Yeah, God, maybe this is going to be grindy. Maybe it's not going to be grindy. On a medium ship and a small ship, or even on a large-ish one that doesn't have too many guards, it's not grindy. It's fun to eliminate everyone. But there are currently very big ships with just a lot of people aboard them. You know what? I could avoid that problem, though. Oh, okay, so there's two. This problem solves itself. Because a very big ship with lots of guards on it, you can secure it, but I'm not really asking you to, because that's a hard mission. That takes a long time to do the mission in the first place. It takes an even longer time to secure that ship. And you don't get, this whole ships thing, you don't get more points for like a bigger ship. You just get a ship. You're just trying to get like 5 ships or 10 ships. And so hijacking really big ones full of guards, you can do it, but it's a really inefficient use of your time. Even if you've decided I don't give a shit about anything else, all I want to do is unlock stations, that doesn't incentivize you to clean out big ships. It incentivizes you to take easier missions and clean out those ships, and maybe that's its own problem. But certainly, like, the grindiness of taking out big ones is not such a problem. I think we could say something like the very small ships, maybe they have no turrets, so they're not worth securing. They're not worth anything to your faction. So that way we're not incentivizing you to just take the easiest missions. You have to take missions of some level of difficulty, but we also don't want to particularly incentivize you to take the hardest missions, because those will be quite boring to secure. The ideal situation would be like, okay, I'll do this really big mission because I want the money, and I won't bother to secure it because that will take 4 times as long, and I will instead take some smaller missions and secure those ships. Yeah, it's going to be a tricky balancing act, isn't it? But I think that's the right way to go.